pushing yourself so hard and doing so much that you end up sick. And your body can only keep running on adrenaline and cortisol and cortisone, all these stress hormones, for so long. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Nicole Smith, founder of Antigravity Wellness. I'm a nurse practitioner, board certified in family practice and orthopedics, and menopause. So menopause board certified, only one of two in the 50-mile radius of the Tri-Cities, Washington that I am aware of. Last time I looked at the Menopause Society website. You can go there and find providers to help with menopause issues because it's not something that we were taught in school. So a lot of providers don't know a whole lot about it. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that's been coming up in practice this week quite a lot, and something that I have struggled with myself, and that is sleep. So what if you aren't bad at mornings? What if your alarm is waking you up at the wrong biological time? A lot of us have jobs that we have to go to that demand a certain time from us to show up at work. And for those of us that are lucky enough to create our own schedules, we can self-impose those and be tired, or we can change our schedules to actually accommodate what our natural circadian rhythm is. So if you notice on the weekends when you let yourself sleep into when you would just naturally wake up, it might be very different from what you're doing on the weekdays. And you also might notice that you may not need a nap during the weekends like you might need, or just feel exhausted during the week given your schedule. This is called social jet lag, and it's a thing. And the problem with it is that, especially for perimenopausal women, our sleep architecture is already not great. We're having hot flashes, night sweats, progesterone is dropping, anxiety is increasing, cortisol is increasing, and it just can be so much harder to get back to sleep. So a lot of women say, well, I can fall asleep, but I wake up at night and then I have a hard time getting back to sleep. And that's very, very common, and it can happen more and more, and then you're exhausted during the day, and then you got to get up super early, and that causes its own problems. So if we're able to recognize what's going on, support the hormones, support the body, stop scrolling on our phones, recognizing, okay, if I need to get up at 3:30 in the morning because of work, and I have so many patients who are like this, then let's work backwards and make sure that we're having quality sleep, not just, yeah, I went to bed at 9 or whatever, but I was scrolling on my phone for a while, and then ended up waking up in the middle of the night, and then I couldn't get back to sleep, so I got up and did the thing. So this will create that perpetual pattern, and sleep is the number one most important thing. If we're not sleeping, nothing else we're doing is even going to matter. It's just not going to work. So it is so important, and it so often is the underlying root thing that is causing all the other things that I'm seeing with my patients, as far as their chronic adrenal adaptation, that flattened curve that we can see in their adrenals, their thyroid conversion goes down, their sex hormones are going to be even worse. And it makes sense because when we are not sleeping, that's a stress on the body. And when we're constantly stressed, the body goes into this survival mode. It will preferentially put its energy into surviving, and it's not going to care about your metabolism. It's not going to care about your hair. It's not going to care about your reproductive hormones. It's like, no, we got to keep her alive because she is stressed out. She's not eating, or she's not sleeping. Her stress levels are really high from her job or her life, and caregiver stress and work stress. And we just get bombarded in this time, late 30s into our 40s. And then add the hormonal fluctuations of perimenopause. And it's not fair. It's so not fair. But this is the time to slow it all down and recognize that it's not a lack of willpower. It's not because you are doing anything wrong, and you definitely should not push through. That's not the answer. It will only make things worse. It's like any other time in your life. If you've ever been through this, I have, unfortunately, too many times. I'm very familiar with this, that type A personality and like go-getter. But pushing yourself so hard and doing so much that you end up sick. And your body can only keep running on adrenaline and cortisol and cortisone, all these stress hormones, for so long before it just depletes your stores. So doing things like making sure you're getting a good sleep routine down, that's the baseline. That's not to say that, oh, if you're doing good sleep hygiene, then you're fine, you shouldn't need anything else. Of course, you probably, especially perimenopausal women, you probably need something else. Progesterone is one of those things that I often use, usually in mid to late perimenopause, but I've used it sooner too. If it was just one of those things that really was coming up, they're symptomatic of having lower progesterone, usually because they're having higher estrogen type symptoms, those heavier periods, more blood clots, a lot of cramping, more worse PMS symptoms. Those can be signs that your estrogen levels are out of balance from your progesterone. Either they are truly high or your progesterone levels are low, and it's causing those symptoms. Breast tenderness can go up. It just makes you miserable. So if you're noticing those changes and you're not even like, I'm not in perimenopause yet, you're like in your 30s. I've seen that. That's kind of an early sign when things are starting to change and the stress can really get to you and things can really impact you there. So also what's going on with your caffeine? If we're having caffeine after 2 o'clock, we know that as we age, we don't metabolize caffeine as well as we used to. So it might actually be affecting your sleep more than you realize. Sugar. If we're having or heavy meals too close to bedtime, we want to have our last meal at least 3 hours before bed. A snack before bed is fine, but like heavy meals, that digestion process actually interferes with your ability to go to sleep because your body's like, I'm doing this right now. I'm not trying to go to sleep. I'm trying to digest this food. So having an earlier meal can be very, very helpful. Again, getting off your phone, not scrolling, and it actually, if you notice, like just be very mindful about how you feel when you're done scrolling on something, whether that is TikTok or it's Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is that you like to scroll on, Reddit, going down one of those rabbit holes. Notice how you feel after you're done with that, because while you're in it, like you're getting the dopamine hits, right? But after you're done, how are you feeling? Did it give you energy or did it drain your energy? And that's really not something we want to be doing around bedtime. It's just going to mess with your circadian rhythm. We know too that light affects it. So natural light during the day is what we're aiming for. Now we're in the summer months, it's so much easier to do that, right? We can get outside and get that sunshine, and that resets the pituitary gland to say it is daytime. And then at night, calming everything down, having a calming nighttime routine, stopping working. I know it's hard, especially if you're an entrepreneur out there. Try and put that down. But it makes such a huge difference, and it'll make you more productive the next day because you're actually bringing yourself down, getting into that, like, okay, it's time to shut the day down. I've done all that I was supposed to do. I did great. We're good. Now it's time to wind down and go to sleep. So reasons why perimenopause can make this so much worse, that fluctuating estrogen and progesterone levels like we talked about. So estrogen levels, we can see things like hot flashes and night sweats will definitely interfere with that. You have estrogen receptors and progesterone receptors in your brain. So when those levels change, it will change your brain chemistry. It will change your circadian rhythm. It makes your sleep more fragile. So we have to be even more diligent. We can't be as abusive. Alcohol at night. We know that, yes, okay, you might pass out if you drink enough, right? But it's not quality sleep, and you actually end up waking up more. You're not getting that deep REM recovering sleep. So cutting back on that, not having that nightcap, having it earlier. Progesterone levels, as we talked about before, anxiety, racing thoughts, mood changes, increased sensitivity to stress. Like, you're not making that up. You really do have a lower threshold for BS. Like, you just can't cope as well because those hormone levels are fluctuating. So it is a thing, and it's just an opportunity for you to do more self-care, to be kinder to yourself, give yourself more grace, and know that, this is something that is happening, it's real, and we just need to give more space, give more recovery. Musculoskeletal discomfort, oh my gosh, I can relate to this too. So like leg restlessness, or just like pain, like your hips and your shoulders, and like things didn't used to hurt, and it's uncomfortable. It's hard to get into a comfortable position and sleep when it's feeling like that. And that is an effect of changing estrogen levels. Greater nighttime urinary frequency. So part of this is making sure we're front loading our water during the day and drinking a little bit less towards nighttime. If we're getting up more than once a night to go pee, then that's a concern. That's something that we need to be aware of, especially if it's a new thing for you. And we've tried to change when you drink your water and that's not helping. The changes that can happen in the genital urinary symptoms, syndrome, is very real, and that has to do with your estrogen levels as well. So vaginal estrogen is one of those things that very common that we use for women that are going through perimenopause and menopause. And it's one of those things that, like night flashes and hot sweats and some of these things that we experience during this time tend to get better. This will not get better. Genital urinary syndrome, GSM, will not get better without treatment. So that's definitely something that should be addressed. It's very easy to treat. Restless legs, iron stores that can be low. So one of the number one signs of low iron, aside from hair loss, is restless legs and fatigue. And it's amazing how many providers, like primary care doctors, don't run a ferritin level. It's not, again, it was something that we didn't really get taught in school. I know being trained as a family nurse practitioner, I can speak from experience. That's exactly how I was trained. So I check a ferritin level in all of my patients as I practice more of a functional medicine. And I find quite often that they are functionally low, not so low that they'd be diagnosed with like actual like low ferritin from like a Western medicine standpoint, like read on the labs. But we want you to be closer to like 60 to 80. So if you're 30 or 15, you're going to have hair loss, you're going to have fatigue, you can have restless legs, you can have these symptoms, you can have low thyroid conversion, you can have difficulty getting your testosterone levels up. Like all of these things need adequate levels of iron, and your ferritin is your iron storage. So that's very important to check. Sleep apnea, that becomes more common for women over the age of 40. And it doesn't present like it does in men. So if we're doing everything we can and trying to get her sleep better, and she is getting more sleep and it seems like it's better, but she's still exhausted. She's just exhausted during the day. That and like other things that can show up, like waking up with a headache constantly. Yes, snoring can happen, but not always. Witnessed apnea, so if you have someone, a partner, somebody who sees that you actually stop breathing when you're asleep. High blood pressure, that doesn't really seem to be like there's not other cause that we can really correlate it with. These are signs, and aging, that we might want to look into sleep apnea. Estrogen receptors are in the tissues of the throat. So when we lose those tissues can kind of get a little floppy, and it can lead to sleep apnea. So it's a very real thing. And even if you have like a low grade earlier, if it's worse now, it's worth looking into. And there are at-home sleep studies that can be done, so you don't have to go into a center. And then as far as treatment is concerned, we have a lot more variety than we used to. That's very, very important. That'll affect not only your cognitive functioning now, but your cardiovascular risk, metabolic risk, and cognitive risk as you age as well. So how your heart's going to do, your brain, and your body, like your risk for metabolic disease, as in diabetes and obesity and things like that. So what do we do when we cannot change our schedule because we have a job and we have bills, and this is a job we have right now, and maybe it might be worth looking at what other opportunities there are to adjust your schedule, get a different job, a different position within the company, or something. But for those who are like, this is what my life is right now, and I just need to make this work, things like working backwards from when you have to get up, so that you make sure that you get that 7 to 9 hours of actual, like, lights out, cool room. I am kind of amazed. I know it's it's summertime, and it's hard for people to, like, with the heating bills and cooling bills and everything, and the way the economy is. But this is, again, we protect our sleep. And if you're setting the thermostat to like 70 and trying to sleep in that is probably not going to work, especially when you're in perimenopause and you're already having a hard time with your temperature regulation. That heat is just going to make it worse. It's going to make it harder. So if you're able to turn the air conditioning on, turn the heat down in your bedroom closer to that, 65 degrees, and you can work your way down there, it's going to make it so much more comfortable for your body to go to sleep. And then a big blanket when you first get in if you're cold. But you usually find a lot of women that I've talked to, they find that after about an hour or two, they're throwing the comforter off because they're too warm. That in and of itself will help with that. Again, because your sleep architecture changes, you might be more sensitive and more apt to be able to be woken up. So putting on that eye mask, putting in those the earplugs, having a white noise machine, these types of things could really help. Pets in the room. Oh my gosh, pets in the room. I know. My little dog, she is, gosh. And it can be really hard because you just like, I just want you to shut up, so I will let you in the bed. But having a pet who is prone to wake you up, that is something that might need to be adjusted for or something done. I have quite a few patients who say their dog wakes them up in the morning, and I can relate. I just pull her up into bed with me because she's little. I'm like, just go sleep. And she does, and then we're fine. I'm like, you're not actually hungry right now. Using morning light intentionally, so getting outside as soon as possible after waking up, getting that natural sunlight into your eyeballs and on your skin is very helpful. If you're not able to do that, especially those, if you have to be at work at 4:30 in the morning, getting a happy light, getting one of those natural lights in your office can be very helpful. They've done studies on it, and you can have seasonal depression in summer if you never go outside and see the sun, right? It's a thing. And it definitely has an effect on our ability to fall asleep at night. If we don't get that signal to our brains that it's daytime via the sunlight or full spectrum light, it's harder for our brains to like register that and make sure that we actually produce melatonin and wind down at night when the lights go down. It gets kind of confused. Food timing is really important too. I was just talking to a patient about this today. So your gut is on a circadian rhythm the same way that your brain is on a circadian rhythm with the light, right? So if your eating pattern is all over the board, it's going to make it really hard for your gut. We know that like at night, your liver does some different things, your digestion does some different things, and then during the day when you're supposed to be awake, those digestive enzymes start to wake up and come out. And a lot of women I talk to are skipping breakfast, which I really don't recommend, especially in perimenopause. It sends a stress signal to your body that there's not enough energy, your body's already stressed out, your cortisol is probably, not doing great. And by not eating, or at least having make a smoothie and then sip on it slowly, if you just like, oh, it's just too much in the morning, Nicole, I can't do that, that's fine. But start to get some type of nutrition in your body, protein, a little bit of protein. You can do protein shakes are great because they're easier on digestion. Some good healthy fats and some complex carbohydrates, some fiber, things that really help us satiety, and just gives that signal to your body, especially to your adrenals, that we're okay, that it's safe, that there's nutrition here available. And that is very, very important. So, for example, my patients who work swing shifts or work night shifts, that's one of the things we work on because your sleep schedule is it's not great. You talk about some increased risk for all kinds of problems. It's those people who have to work those schedules for years and years. So we mitigate that, though, through these other measures, especially through food timing. So we actually will have a fasting window at night when you're naturally supposed to be asleep and your gut thinks you're asleep. And we try and minimize carbohydrate intake during that time because it's harder for your body to process carbohydrates at night. It's not supposed to be doing that. So it does better on fats and protein than it does carbohydrates. But that doesn't mean we take out carbohydrates entirely. We just want to have them timed correctly. So before, when it's daylight, and then in the morning when it's daylight, and that type of thing. So we try and keep on a regular eating pattern no matter what their schedule is. Just like ideally we keep you on a regular sleep schedule, but again, if you work swings, night shifts, that can be a lot harder to manage. So caffeine, we talked about that. I got nothing against a nap, guys. There's nothing wrong with taking a nap. And if you need it, you need it. And so if you notice that if you wake yourself up at a certain time, you're not able to sleep until that 6 o'clock when your body would naturally wake up, and then you're like, oh, I'm a human being today. I can like make it through the day without a nap. That's cool. Well, on those days that that's not a possibility, work in some type of a nap or recovery, guided meditation, yoga nidra. Yoga nidra. That's kind of like a guided meditation that's almost like a sleeping wake state that you can go into to help with recovery. Your brain needs a break because it's been running on low reserves and it had its normal rhythm interrupted, so we got to do other things to help that. Okay, so your action for this week is to notice your natural sleep window on the days that you are not working, that you're able to just wake up when you naturally would. How do you feel during the day? So you might find you're like, oh, I think I have like adrenal fatigue, or I've got low thyroid, or something's going on with me. But then on the weekend, when you're able to just sleep normally, and you're like, oh, actually I feel fine. Could be stress, could be your schedule. So taking that into account and going, okay, so maybe I don't need to go to extremes with this. Maybe I can do some more natural measures to try and make sure that I'm improving my sleep schedule. And if, of course, if that doesn't work, then talking with a provider who is knowledgeable, especially if you're in perimenopause, and someone who's going to help dig in and figure out what is going on there. Why is your sleep disrupted? Because it is a complex issue. There's so many things that can be going on. And it's not so simple as like, here, just take Vitex, or here, just take progesterone, or just take the sleeping pill. Like, there's so much more to it. It's like libido. We could have a whole discussion on that too. Libido is very complex. So it takes some digging in to figure out what your particular barrier is to getting that rest and recovery that you need. So I hope this was helpful. We are accepting new patients here in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. So you can go check us out at antigravitywellness.com. We do primarily functional medicine right now, but we are working on getting credentialing with Primera so we can offer some basic care on that end, while we still offer the functional medicine packages. And we also have a course right now that is on sale, the 21-day Flat Belly Challenge. If you are struggling with your body composition, it's a great jumpstart. So comment the word belly and we'll get the information over to you. It's on sale until the end of the month. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to go because my computer's dying. And I will talk to you on the next live. Thanks. Bye.